Hey, what's up, everybody? Good evening, good evening. I need to close one more door. There, that's going to be better. Otherwise, my kids are out there playing and it would be distracting for me. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to Wednesday night, live from Alaska. For those of you that don't know, we talk all about cameras, drones, anything like that. Of course, there's some very exciting news about the Mavic Air 2, and really excited about that. Ken Heron, thank you very much. I will send some more. I have been trying to get some more footage, and the weather has just been uncooperative. But I think I do have some stuff to send you, so I will try and send it to you fast. Probably not in time for tomorrow night, but as fast as possible. So, but yeah, Mavic Air 2 is announced. There's been a few other things that have been going on. I got my Siru, whatever, anamorphic lens that I've been working on a review with that. This thing is so much fun to shoot with. If you've not been seeing some of the clips I've been posting on Twitter or Instagram with it, it's oh man, it's good. But the big news is, of course, the Mavic Air 2. Well, there's lots of other news. I was going to be going into Toronto, and I wanted to hook up with a bunch of creators down there and say hi and meet in person. And because of lots of reasons, I'm not going to Toronto now, and I'm really disappointed because I really wanted to go, and I was going to meet up with some people. So anyway, yeah, so let's say hi to people in the chat. Journeyman, welcome. Paul, Ken, I'm honored that you're here, Ken. It means a lot to me. Elsie, Alex, I don't know if you're still here. Flying with Stan, welcome. It's good to have you all here. Hopefully you're doing well. Elsie, I hope you're doing well. I know there's a lot going on in your neck of the woods right now. But so, have you all seen the leaked photos of what is purported to be the Mavic Air 2? And I'm really curious to hear your thoughts of it. If it's something you if you plan on buying it, or if you're kind of waiting to see. And I'm sorry, my voice is it's kind of on the edge of going out. And so part of the good thing about getting a little on the sick side and then recovering, don't worry, it's not the thing we won't mention. But I'm feeling much better. It's just still a lot of junk. And then it didn't help that I was up at my parents' place in Talkeetna, and we got their plow truck buried because we got 36 inches of snow. It's almost a meter of snow, for those of you not in the U.S., in less than 24 hours. And yes, it was challenging, to say the least. So, hey, Bike Shop Girl. John, good to see you. Yeah, it does look like the Mavic 2 Pro, and I think that's smart on DJI's part, is to get more of a solid branding going with the kind of the three different levels of the Mavic line. They've got the Mavic Mini, Mavic Pro, the Mavic Air. It would be good. I liked the other Mavic Air. The flight time was so short, so I'm really hoping that they can push the flight time up to that 30-minute mark. Would make it really fantastic. I am not excited about a controller with no screen, though. But yeah, anyway. Bike Shop Girl, have I done a behind the scenes of my live stream? You mean like my setup and stuff? I have not. And actually, that's one of my videos on the docket to make, is my setup in here, how I've got this all kind of going. It's pretty, well, I say it's simple. It's not really simple. I've like an insane amount of lighting going on in here to make it, look this way. But anyway, but I am going to do that soon. And the other thing, I put a poll out there on my community tab on here about doing more behind the scenes stuff for Patreon members, because I'm going to probably launch a Patreon membership pretty soon, and it won't be much. But I'm curious to see that if you would be willing to, or if you would want to see more behind the scenes stuff of when I take these trips to do these videos. Because there's a ton of stuff that I don't post. I mean, I end up with several hours of footage every time, and then I condense that down to, 10 to 15 minutes. Thanks, Ken. I can't wait, man. It looks like it's going to be fun. I'm excited about your guest tomorrow night, the guy who got his Skydio taken at gunpoint. It's crazy. Anyway, so hope you're doing well, man. Can't wait for tomorrow night. I'll be there. Yeah. So I just if you'd like to see, go hit that, go vote in that poll. If you'd like to see more behind the scenes stuff where it would be me really showing you a lot more of the things that I'm doing, a lot more of the drone footage in that case, and just the area, the journey to get there, the journey back, all of that kind of stuff is what I'm thinking I would include in there. And then I would do some other stuff too. I'm, haven't decided totally, or haven't gone through it completely and built it out in my mind yet. But anyway, but if you vote in that community poll, let me know. I'd appreciate it. So let's see. Okay, back to the chat. The Mavic Air 2, Paul says the controller looks interesting. Will it have OcuSync? That is a big question, Paul. I'm guessing it won't, because if they're gonna try and keep it on the cheaper end, it'll probably just have Wi-Fi, similar to the Mavic Mini and the Mavic Air 1. The controller does look interesting. It looks like they did a big redesign, and the phone will fit on the top now instead of at the bottom, that's a good idea. I think that's a great redesign. Maybe, Alex. We'll see. Bike Shop Girl, that's a yes for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it doesn't need to be polished. Well, and that's kind of my thought. My thought is that I would take my Osmo Action, because that's the action camera I'm using, and I would basically film the entire trip with that, just to show, and then other footage that I get with my main cameras and my drone and stuff would be part of it, but it would be very much more raw and uncut, and very much just, you would be on the journey with me to go film these videos. And so I think it'd be cool, but you may not. So you can let me know. I can tell you that every one of these shoots I go on, I end up with tons of footage that I don't use, that I would like to do something with. At least I would like to show it, but it's not something that I would just post on my regular YouTube stuff. So let's see. Okay. Background. Yeah, Alex, I got you. I might. Most of it's packed away. I will be using it this weekend a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Bike Shop Girl, you would love a private Instagram account for showing all these things in the moment for Patreon. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is, if I do Patreon, and then I would, I've got to, look into it, but then there would be videos and these sorts of things, live streams, that would be focused solely to that group of people. And there's a couple other things I'm considering working with, whether it's like one-on-one, work. I don't want to say coaching. Coaching is such a loaded word, but if people want to work with me one-on-one on something, whether it's critiquing their videos or working with them on whatever it might be, probably going to do something like that too. So, and basically, obviously at some point I would like this to be my full-time job. A little ways out for that, but most of these trips I do take a fair amount of money, because they're all hundreds of miles in driving or flying or whatever. And, and then of course being able to buy this stuff and review it also takes money, because, not a lot of companies want to send me a lot of stuff for free. A few do, and I really appreciate them, but not all of them. So, yeah, so it doesn't need to be polished videos. Thanks. Hey, Combo. Billy in the house. Yeah, so getting out. It's starting to get to be springtime here. We're just about through the minus temperatures, the minus below zero temperatures, and it's just so close to spring, and I cannot wait. And then we'll have this long period of just dead brown nothingness, and then it will flip to spring, summer, and I can't wait to get outside and start filming again. But still got a few weeks before that really happens. Although I will be going out, I think, out to the bush very remote Alaska here in the next few weeks, and so I'll try and film a bunch of that too. Alex, would I rather film in 720p or 1080 HD? Absolutely 1080. I actually started filming everything in 4K just because, and trying to produce it in 4K just because. So, Jake's channel, welcome. Hey Jake, welcome back. It's been a long time. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been really cool for the growth of this channel and the growth of this community to see it happen has been really, really amazing. And so, you know, want to continue that, continue helping people out. I even trying to figure out how exactly I want to do reviews to really provide the most amount of value I can. My last video comparing the GoPro 8 and the Action has gotten some very interesting responses. And I have gotten all kinds of very interesting comments from I don't know what I'm doing to I'm obviously using the wrong SD card, on and on and on it goes. And I don't have anything against GoPro. I want GoPro to succeed, but I think that GoPro has kind of sat on their success for a long time and ridden that wave. And I don't feel like they've innovated and developed as much as they could have in the last few years. So I'm glad DJI is out there with the Osmo Action. I hope they release the Osmo Action this summer. I would really like to see that progress. And the thing is too about the GoPro thing, while we're on that real quick, I never said that GoPro had the worst image. I think it actually has a better image. I think it does a little better at low light, and it definitely does better at stabilization. But if it doesn't work, if it doesn't record to the SD card, or if the SD card is constantly being corrupted, then it doesn't matter how good the image is. You can't use it, and that's my problem. I went on, since the GoPro was released, I probably went and filmed 7 full trips with the idea of putting content up behind the scenes, or, you know, bits and pieces for Instagram or whatever. And all of them, I lost all of the footage because of firmware issues, because of SD card issues, because of just whatever. And I don't buy cheap SD cards. I buy the best SD cards. It's the same ones that GoPro sells in their store. I don't buy them from Amazon or eBay because I don't really trust if you're getting you know, fakes or not. So I buy the best SD cards. And so that's not the issue. And it just, ugh, man. Anyway, it just, so yeah. Jake, yeah. The Insta360R. Yeah, so the only reason I'm not on the Insta360R bandwagon yet, because it does look like a great camera, especially with the 1-inch sensor, is right now, until they update the firmware and maybe do some other things, you have to use, you can take the footage, especially the 4K footage, and especially if you use it with stabilization, and especially if you use the 1-inch sensor, you have to import it into their software and then let it process and do all of the stuff and then export it out for your software. And I can't do that. That's too many steps. So if they get that fixed, I might jump on it. I know they haven't really released the 1-inch sensor version yet, probably because the manufacturing in China has been so slowed down. But it does look really promising. And I'm hoping that that's, you know, where action cameras are headed. A little larger sensor would be great. Better low light performance would be great. Obviously, stabilization's here to stay. So that's all really good stuff. I'm really excited about those things. And you know, other people have had really good luck with GoPros. I have not. And it's not been just one Hero 8. I had 2 Hero 8s. I've had several Hero 7s. I'm not the only one who had these issues with the Hero 7 or the Hero 8. I did a lot of research and I talked to a lot of people. And so it is what it is, you know. These are my opinions, and they're worth exactly what you pay for them. They're free, and they're on the internet. So, let's see. Paul Feinberg. Let's see. Curious what lenses I like using with the A6600 besides the Sigma Primes. You're loving the A66? Oh, man. That's what I'm filming this on, or streaming this on right now. I love the A6600. I love this camera. This is my A7 III. This thing has been a rock solid camera for me since it was the release, the day it was released, and I picked it up in the store as soon as they got one in stock. It's great. photos, video, it does it all great. The difference between this and the A6600 in the ability to grab focus is substantial. Like, it's noticeable to me. I still use this a lot for video because I have the wider angle on it and stuff like that. And that's my one thing with the A6600 is that I don't, other than the Sigma Prime and now this anamorphic lens, I don't have a lot of lenses for it. So I would like to get the Sony 10-18 for it, or maybe the Laowa 9mm just to get something really wide, because that ideally is what I would like to use the A6600 for, is the filming all of the stuff that I go out and film. But we'll see. Yeah. So those are the ones. I've used my Tamarons with it. I've used the 85mm with it, and they all work great. And that's one thing I love about the Sony system is you can use the full frame lenses on the APS-C bodies. You can use the APS-C body lenses on the full frame cameras if you go into crop mode, and it's really fantastic. So SD card here, throws GoPro out the window. Yeah. Billy has been there a few times when my GoPros haven't worked, and it has been extremely irritating, including one time where I pulled the SD card out of the GoPro, and I've never had this happen before. I pulled it out, and as soon as I pulled it out, it snapped in half. Just weird. Anyway, and Brian's right. Brian knows that I've lost days and days and days. I've lost so much footage due to GoPro SD card errors. I have never had an error with the Osmo Action. I've never had it lock up, which I do regularly with GoPro. It just has always worked, and so that's why I'm using it. Even though the image quality is not as good as the GoPro is. GoPro image quality is fantastic. I don't care for the colors, but that's easy to fix if you shoot in a flat profile, and then you can kind of color grade it however you want. But the image quality is better. They do a better job of controlling artifacts and moire and blurring and all that. It's better. So, Paul, you've just been using the 17-28 and the 28-75. Yeah, I've used both of those lenses. Like when I shoot interviews, I'll use the A6600 as the B camera or A camera, and then this, my A7 III will be the other camera. And I'll end up with, one of the Tamarons on one and the other Tamaron on the other, and that's how I shoot my interviews. So you get a wide and a medium shot. Well, actually a medium and a close shot for most of those. Anyway. Giulio Onless, do you know which lens has the lowest aperture for the Sony A7 III? I mean, the Sony 24mm GM lens is fantastic. I know they make a 50mm, I think it's a 1.2. Pull some of these up here real quick. So I know the Sony 24mm is like, it's a killer lens. It's a 1.4. And from everything I've heard, I haven't had a chance to test it. I'm going to try later this week to do some astrophotography. I'm going to try and get it and take it out with me. But I've heard it's a phenomenal astrophotography lens. Just super sharp, super fantastic, very fast aperture, really good. Let's see, Paul, the autofocus is amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like right now I'm outputting HDMI in 4K on the camera, and it's got my eye in autofocus. Like, it's crazy fast and crazy good. Let's see. So that's one really low or fast aperture lens, Giulio. The other one, I know, let me see, Sony 50. They make a 50mm 1.4. I think they make an 85 1.4. Yep, 85 1.4. I don't know that anybody really makes like a 1.2 or 1.4 or faster lens for Sony. It doesn't seem like. So the thing is, Sony's low light performance is so good. It's you don't need it as much. And then when you're at like 1.2 aperture, your plane of focus is so short and so shallow. Anyway, Jake, the lens combo, the A6600 with the Tamron lenses works really well, and so does the A6400, because that's what I had before I had the A6600. It works super, super well. Really fast, really good autofocus, really accurate. It's great. Billy, the RX2. Yeah, the RX02 on the quad. I want to do that really badly. Jake's channel. How is the COVID? Yeah, that. I'm not gonna say it because then YouTube gets all weird about it. But that thing. Everybody here is stockpiling everything too. So far, we've got no reported cases. Even if it never comes here, I think it's being way overblown by the media. Not to say that people shouldn't be careful and cautious. People should, but I think it's being blown a little out of proportion. But it is going to affect Alaska drastically because so many people are canceling flights and tourism for the summer. A lot of people are going to stay home, and at least until it blows over. And so that's going to be interesting to see how much that affects Alaska. I think I read a report earlier that one of the airlines flies into Alaska. Alaska Airlines has had 250,000 ticket cancellations so far because of that, which is a big deal. That's big. Not that much in Florida, Paul. That's good. Jake, you have the 35 1.8. You should have gotten the 28 to 75 instead. You hardly use the 1.8. Miss having the flexibility of focal lengths. Yeah, and I like primes. I have an 85 1.8, and that is just one of the most. I love that lens, especially for portrait work and B-roll. It's fantastic. And that with some lens tubes, where it turns it into kind of a macro lens, it's great. It's really, really good. But I don't use a lot of primes. The other thing I use here is the Sigma 1.4, which is great. It's really good autofocus, really good low light performance for a lens on an APS-C camera. I really like it. It's just, by the time you do the crop factor, it's a 24 millimeter lens, and that's just a little too tight to like do a lot of handheld stuff with. So I've done it, and it's fine. It just, I like to show a little bit more of the world around me because I'm in a pretty cool spot. So, yeah. Let's see. Julio, if the aperture of that lens, the Sony high or low, cause the amazing ISO capabilities of the A7 III. That's true, Julio. The low light performance of the A7 III is really phenomenal, and that's one of the things I love about this camera. It's just the low light performance is so good. So I'm going to be going to. I'm trying to go out at some point here soon because we've got some clear weather to go and shoot some astrophotography with this lens, the 17, because I haven't done that yet. And I want to do from an astrophotography point of view, how the Tamron works, how well it works. Do the 24 millimeter, and then I'll be using this camera because it's just, it's so good. The low light is so great. Let's see, Paul, you really want the 85 1.8? The 85 1.8 is like, to me, if you're going to have one prime for a full frame Sony, that's it. Even over a 50 millimeter or 55 millimeter, the 85 is so good. It's so sharp. It's wonderful. Jake, you only have two lenses, the 35 1.8 and the 85 1.8. Great combo. Yeah, I agree, Jake. It's such a steal at that price. It's because the quality of the optics on that thing is phenomenal. And it has really good autofocus. It's really fast. Julio, do I like Final Cut or Premiere more? Which one do I have more flexibility in? If I use rather. I like Final Cut more, but that's because I use Mac exclusively. If I was using Windows, I'd probably go Premiere. Premiere works fantastic on Windows. Final Cut doesn't work on Windows at all because it's a Mac program, but I use Final Cut a lot. And on Mac, Final Cut is the most stable. I've seen lots of problems where people have Premiere quitting on them and stuff like that. One that I've been playing around with a little bit, I haven't had a lot of time to play around with it, but is DaVinci Resolve. Is really good, and it's free. The free version's fantastic. So yeah, it's a good option if you don't want to buy a program. That, and I don't use Premiere. I'm trying to move away from Adobe products because I'm tired of subscriptions. Everybody wants you to subscribe for every, a like monthly subscription for everything, and I get tired of it. It just is, it's dumb. Jake's channel, when I shoot 4K, do I shoot 60 or 100? I shoot 100. So my philosophy is shoot in the highest quality you can, because that will end up letting you deliver the highest quality that you can, even if you're cutting it down. Tell me if this video would interest you. If I filmed a video about how to film an interview and get 2 camera angles using 1 camera, would that be something that interests you or not? Because I've got this idea of like, want to do a series on how to do really run and gun cutthroat, the least expensive possible but high production quality style shooting. And one of those things is interviews. Like, so can you film a good interview with 1 light, 1 camera, 1 lens, but make it feel like a much higher quality production? Absolutely possible. Anyway, let me know if that's something that interests you. So, Jose, we've talked a little bit about the Mavic Air 3 or 2, Mavic Air 2. Mavic Air 2 that's been leaked a little bit online. We talked about we talked a lot about Sony cameras, A6600, Tamron lenses. What else did we talk about? GoPro. We talked a lot about GoPro and the Osmo, because that was my most recent video. And apparently it stirred up quite a bit of feelings for people, because the comments have been I've got a lot of comments that are like, thank God I'm not the only one. I've had trouble for years and I thought it was just me, and so and so and so on. And then a lot of people who are like, you're wrong, you're using it wrong, you must have a bad GoPro, you don't know what you're talking about, that kind of thing. And my thing is like, I don't have anything against GoPro. I want them to do the best that they can. At the same time, like, it just, if they're not innovating and they're not doing a good job, if somebody's not putting out a good product, I'm going to call them on that. Like if Sony put out the A7S III and it didn't have 4K 60 and 10-bit internal, I don't think I would buy it. I'd probably criticize them pretty heavily for it, because what's the point at this point? They need to do that. So let's see. So that's kind of what we talked about, Jose, a little bit. Paul, FCPX has so many great plugins, titles, it's hard to move away from. Yeah. And that's the thing. I have a lot of really great plugins for Final Cut now. So I would not move away from it anytime soon. Plus, I paid for it 4 or 5 years ago, $200. That was it. Like, I don't know what my monthly cost breakdown now at 5 years, 60 months. It's getting to be in the really cheap territory. I know that. Let's see, 200. Yeah, so far I've paid $3.33 for Final Cut Pro per month that I've used it. That you just can't really beat that. So now I've bought a lot of plugins that are expensive too, so that doesn't really help. But anyway, so moving away from Adobe, Paul, I use Luminar 4. So I still use Lightroom. I don't use Photoshop that much, but I still do use Lightroom a little bit. I've been using Luminar 4 more and more. I really like it. I really like editing portraits in Luminar. And so I'm moving more and more that direction with them. And as I get used to that program and how it works, I'm using it more and more. And eventually I'll say goodbye to Adobe completely. I'm not ready to do that yet. So all I'm doing right now is the photography plan, which is Lightroom, Photoshop, and yeah. All right, let's see. Are you excited about the new Canon camera, which could shoot in 6K? I am. I'm excited about that stuff because it's pushing things the right direction. I don't think 6K is really necessary at this point, just because, I mean, 8K TVs are only just starting to be a thing. It's going to take a while for that to really catch on. Just like 4K, like we've had 4K cameras now for years, but really 4K is just starting to really hit its stride. But it is exciting. It's exciting to see that capability being put into cameras. I'm excited about that. Jake's channel, an interview video would be awesome. Professional lighting setup tutorial would be great. Okay, cool. Yeah, those are things I've been planning. planning to do. And I did a lighting tutorial before, but I want to go more into like breaking it down and showing more detail about how it works. And, like 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, where they're placed, how to aim them, all that kind of stuff, what to look for. Don't worry about it, Gulio. That's exactly what this is for. This stream is to answer questions, to talk, to ask questions, and learn from each other. So that's what this is for. Jose, you're about to pull the trigger on the Tamron 17 to 28. Oh yeah, I remember chatting with you. You still can't decide? Wait, so which one? Hi, Brad Alston. Welcome to the stream. Which one are you? I got to pull up my Instagram now because I can't remember. I mean, I remember chatting with you, but I don't remember exactly. There we go. Yeah, the Tamron. I don't know. There's not much out there that competes with the Tamron at price point right now. And I'm really excited about the Tamron telephoto lens. Honestly, like if it were me today, I would buy the Tamron 17 to 28 and then the Tamron 70 to 180 and not get the Tamron 28 to 75. I feel like between the 17 to 28 and the 70 to 180, you're basically going to have everything covered. And that once that lens comes out, that'll probably be the things that are in my bag, the 17 to 28 and the 70 to 180. So, Jose, the ND filter. Okay, so ND filters. That's a great question, Jose, and I'm glad you brought it up. So, okay, I use several. Sorry. I'll pull out my little ND filter bag here. I need to do a new What's in My Bag video. So, these are the 2 ND filters I'm using right now, variable ND filters. This is the Polar Pro, which I bought last summer, and it is good. It's expensive, and I really like their little lens cap that you get with it. That was probably about half the reason I bought it. Was I needed a good ND filter, but I really like the lens cap. And then Freewell, a little while later, came out with these. And so these are the Freewell. This is the Freewell variable ND. 2 to 5 stop is all I ever use. If it needs more than that, then I'll just stop down the aperture. But I like Freewell. And then they've got this the magnetic lens attachment. And this is less than half the cost of the Polar Pro. So honestly, any ND filter is going to give you, and no matter what they say, it's going to give you a little bit of color cast. It's just the way it is. If you set your white balance properly using them, it won't be a big issue. But the Freewell is, between that and the Polar Pro, they are so close. It's really hard to tell. And they have the same issues and the same great things about them. Like if you crank it all the way over to where it's stopped all the way down, it's just on the very edge of starting to see the X pattern come in, especially if you're on a really wide angle lens. And so I honestly, if I was to buy it now, I would get the Freewell variable NDs. They're fantastic and I really like them. So, oh my gosh, you guys are chatting. Hey bud, welcome. Good to see you. Paul Feinberg, Luminar 4. Is it? Yeah, Luminar 4 is fantastic. And every now and then, keep an eye, and they run a sale for like $75. Absolutely worth it at that price. I'm so glad I got it. The time it saves me in editing portraits with that software is incredible. It's really a great program. Jake's channel, the A7 III seems really soft at 1080. Too slow and too much storage. Yeah, it is Sony. I haven't compared it with the A6600, but the A7 III is a hair soft at 1080. You also, but if you, like Jake, if you want to upload to YouTube and get better quality, then film and do stuff in 1080, add a little bit of sharpening, and then up-res it and export it in 4K. That will let YouTube keep more of the, it won't compress it as hard in 4K. So, and it actually looks pretty good. So I used to shoot everything in 1080p. Not bad. If you add a little tiny bit of sharpening, it really helps it out. Yeah. And I can't tell if like 1080p is actually that soft, or we're also getting so used to seeing 4K that 1080p looks remember when it was the old television? Well, you might not be old enough for this. I might be. I feel old. The old televisions, and then HD came out, 1080 HD, and everybody was like, it was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, something similar to that. So, thanks, bud. Lon, am I still happy with the Skydio? Yes, I am. I haven't had as many chances to fly it as I've wanted to lately, but I'm getting ready to, especially now that the weather has shifted from the really brutally cold winter to much nicer weather. I am happy with it. I had a really good conversation with them about some of the things that I think would really help it improve and progress. And I'm really impressed by how much they're listening to their user base. And so I'm really excited to see it and to use it this summer. It will still probably be the drone that I will take with me. And it has been the drone that I've taken with me to film any YouTube videos since I got it. And it's done really, really well. Yeah, but I don't use it with the controller. I use the beacon or my phone, and I've found that has been everything I need. But that's, for what I'm shooting and how I'm shooting, it works well for me. So, Jose, it's a great combo. The 1728 on the A7 III is a great combo. Let's see. Hey, Chris. Any 360 content on my channel anytime soon? So I have a couple of 360 videos on my channel. They were shot with the Insta360 way back when, but they're cool. You should check them out if you haven't, because they're in interesting locations. I think they're interesting locations. One of them's down inside of an ice cave, which is cool. And I have had a couple of companies reach out to me and ask if I want to work with them on a couple of their more higher end, not super high end, but higher end Insta360 cameras that shoot 8K and stereoscopic 4K, which I would love, because I really think for 360 video to really work, you have to be in 8K at a minimum to really get it. So we'll see. We've been bouncing back and forth on dates. They really wanted me to do wintertime, but then their cameras don't perform well in very, very cold temperatures. That kind of throws it out. Yeah, so I wouldn't mind doing more. I would like to do more 360 content in the locations I go to, just because I think it gives you such a unique perspective of where I am. But yeah, so Paul agrees with me. The Freewells are so good. I agree. Have I tried the Freewell non-variable NDs? I have, and they are good. They're very good. I like them a lot too. I use their Freewell filters for my both of my drones, my Mavic and my Skydio, and I like them a lot. So, Jake, so Jake, I will link it in the description of this video as soon as the live stream is over. I'll put a link in there, and maybe I didn't link it yet, but anyway, I'll put a link in there for you as soon as this live stream's over in the description of this video. So come back a few minutes after we're done. Julio, your first ever camera was a Canon M50. You hated it. Upgraded the Sony A7 III, switched to Sony because well, thank you. Hopefully that was a good move. That was a good move for you too. Good. I'm glad. I shot Canon for 20 years. I like Canon a lot. I really enjoyed my time, but they kept crippling everything, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I still think Canon is a great brand, and they produce some fantastic stuff. And I'm excited to see them. Maybe I feel like they're starting to get with it and release some stuff that's really on the cutting edge again, which is good. Jake's channel. Do I have a step up, step down ring? Yes, I do, right here. Actually, because this is a 77 millimeter or 72 millimeter filter, ND64, and because when I had the Laowa 15 millimeter, it was a 72 millimeter thread. So then I have a step down ring for 72 to 67. And I have a couple of other step down rings for other weird lenses that I've had over time, but none of them are really applicable now. So, But yeah, the freewell stuff is really well built. It's well made and does a really good job. So they've really stepped up their quality in the last few years. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Lon, have I seen the variable ND filters from Mavic 2 Pro, from Polar Pro and Moment? I have, and Freewell actually wants to send me their version for the Mavic 2 Pro, but obviously everything kind of slowed down or went on hold for a while there. So I mean, it's cool. I think the idea of being able to travel with one ND filter for your drone is a great idea. My only question on those is longevity, and it's somewhat of a like issue with reviewers on YouTube. Period. Anyway, is their longevity rarely gets tested, and I want to see, over time how well that the mechanism for rotating it handles being on a drone. Yeah, so I think, yeah. So hopefully I'll get it soon and I'll be able to try it. That was one of the reasons I did the Osmo versus GoPro video recently, is because now that I've had enough time, one, to make sure I didn't get a bum GoPro 8, and then two, I wanted to have enough time to just really use it and get a feel for it. And so now that I have, and really, at least my experience, kind of that. So yeah. Chris Cohn, you're in Wasilla? Nice. Greetings from Anchorage, brother. Good to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm in Anchorage, so yeah. I want to do a meetup or something at some point. Probably when the weather gets a little better. Maybe, I don't know, I'll do something. But I'm out in Wasilla, out in the valley often. So yeah. I used to live out there, out on Wasilla Fishhook Road too, out toward Hatcher's Pass. I liked it, but then I had to move to Anchorage 6 years ago. So, Gulio, do I like Peter McKinnon? I do. I've liked him from way back, like right about it was shortly after he released his very first like viral video. I really liked him then. So it's hard to judge whether, it's every YouTuber kind of goes through the phase where like they're building organic, and then they get lots more sponsorships, and it's hard to feel that like organicness where versus commercialized. And I'm sure someday it's a problem I'll have to deal with too, but yeah, so I think Peter's a great guy, obviously super talented, really cool, great stuff. Yeah, so Paul, if the portrait is shot well, if it's well lit and well shot, like portraits, I generally shoot portraits at f4 with the shutters at least double the focal length, so 150, 160 if I'm using the 85 millimeter. And I use f4 because even though Sony is fantastic at catching the eye for autofocus, which is important, if you do like f2.8 or low aperture, the face falls out of focus really quickly, and so I like to try and get like at least back to the ear in focus, and f4 is usually about where that ends up. And then I fast shutter speed so that obviously everything's nice and crisp. And then, but lighting is everything on portraits. Lighting is everything for shooting portraits, and I'm still learning tons about that. I feel like I learn a ton every time I go to shoot portraits. But so generally, if it's well shot and I can put it in Luminar and edit a portrait in 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, depending on the person that I'm editing. But yeah, generally pretty quick. So, Julio, you're passionate about filmmaking, photography. Try to be unique with what you shoot. You want to buy LUTs for Lightroom. Do you have some for free? I don't have any LUTs, man. I have 0 LUTs. There are some good ones out there for free. Ground Control makes some, I think, that are free, that are good. And honestly, Julio, the one of the best things you can do to learn and then also to become more unique down the road, but is to start off with by finding photos you really, really like and then trying to go reproduce them, because that will force you to try and figure out backwards, kind of how that photo was shot, the framing, the angles, all of that. And then the more you do that, the more you'll find your own distinct style of how you like to shoot, what you like to shoot. All of that kind of comes out of that. And if you look at lots of great artists, very few have been really, truly original. A lot of them have taken bits and pieces from other artists and kind of melded them together and created something that was more their own. And that I think is creativity, is being able to pull in what seemingly random things and fit them together and put them together in a way that works. So, but yeah, if you're 14 and you love filmmaking and photography, then do your own stuff too, but also go out and try and, see a journeyman. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Good to see you. Yeah, anyway, that's my recommendation. Start there and then do a lot. Just shoot and film as much as you can. Even if tons of it never comes out, just do a lot, because the more you do, the more you'll learn, the faster things will become, and the more you'll train your eye and everything to really come together. So let's see, experience. But what do I think about the 24-70 Sigma versus the Tamron 25 to 70 2.8 versatile lens? So the Sigma is a fantastic lens. It's bigger and heavier than the Tamron, and that for me is kind of a breaking point, because I like to be lightweight as I can. And so that kind of, to me, is sort of the deal breaker. It's more expensive too. That's not that big a deal, but could be, depending on your budget. But yeah, and then I've read some reports, which most of them could probably be dealt with updates, but that the autofocus was a little slower. But it's the thing, you got to take everything you read on the internet with a huge grain of salt, because you don't know. It's just so much unknown. Oh, interesting, Lon. Why are you not happy with them? I'm curious. Because from the Freewell Variable ND here and my Polar Pro Variable ND, they're so close. It's hardly. Chris Cohn, you need a coach? Nice. Well, so Chris, stay tuned to the channel, because I am working on some ways that I can do some personal, like, one-on-one coaching and stuff. It won't be free. But I'm working on some stuff like that. I'll be putting some things out there to go from there, and maybe it'll work. We'll see. And maybe there'll be other ways in the future too. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. So obviously, stay tuned to the channel, because I'll be doing more tutorials. I know a lot of what I've done has been reviews, but I'm going to be doing more tutorial videos here as we go this summer, this year. So hopefully we'll help you. Yeah. Gulio, finding style, shape, diversity, the photos you take in the future. Yeah. Yeah, you can either reach out to me through Instagram or Twitter, or if you go in my, like, about my channel, there's an email down in there you can email me at. I think it's probably jakesloantube@gmail.com. So I think this is what it is. But you might want to go check it in my in my thing. Anyway, let's see. Hey, Oz Beach Andy, welcome to the stream. Caught the last few minutes of it. South Australia, hope you're doing well down there. I'm sure it's starting to cool down for you guys as it's starting to warm up for us finally. Thank goodness. Vignette, color cast, banding. Wow, that's interesting, Lon. Huh. Well, I'm curious to see it now, because, obviously it's a different animal. It's a much smaller variable ND, and that's where I don't really understand how that would work. But anyway, is it polarized, Lon? The vignetting, I can see that. That seems to be a problem with a lot of them. Anyway, but yeah. Cool, Chris. Well, definitely stay tuned, man, because it's coming. I'm working on it. Yeah, and since you're local, we could actually probably do some of it face-to-face, which would be pretty sweet. Paul, you're such a gearhead and you don't trying to do more tutorials. It's hard. And the tutorial, like if you look, the review videos are what really do well, and well, setup videos on, at least on my channel, like those ones do fantastically well. And the comparison videos, like those ones are great. The tutorial videos I do, they get way less views, but I still think they're valuable for people. And the way I present a tutorial might be different than somebody else who gets tons more views, but it might click for somebody for the way I present it or something. Or at least that's the way it's worked for me. Like I watch tons of tutorial videos on YouTube just because I'm always trying to learn. And like some people I watch it, I cannot connect with what they're saying, how they're saying it. And then other people I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Anyway, so yeah. No, I won't see it live, Julio, but I'll see it in a few minutes here when I get off. So no, not polarized. Wow, that's interesting. Well, yeah. I mean, so one thing I got to say for Polar Pro, as much as maybe I think they're sometimes a little overpriced, they do really great optics, like really solid optics. But I personally haven't messed with their variable NDs for the Mavic series. So I can't tell you from firsthand knowledge. Let's see. Jake's channel. You don't have an ND filter. It gets annoying trying to film interviews outside. You have to use like F8 plus, which sucks. Ooh, yeah, that's hard. So Jake, I mean, obviously, well, the Freewell variable ND is a great one, which I'll link after we're done here. But if you can't afford that, then buying something like an ND16 or an ND32 would be the next step I would take. Probably start with the ND16 and then go from there, because the ND32 might be too much dark. But if you shoot Sony, low light's not that much of an issue, so then maybe go with the ND32, I guess, too. But if you can afford, if you can do one, this is a good one to start with. It's really great. So let's see. My about page has no email. It should go down there. I'll look. Anyway, that is the email that I posted above, though. It's jakesloantube@gmail.com. So Freewell, the price is right at 50%, 130 for the Polar Pro. Yeah, that's a lot. Dang. Whew. That's quite a bit. So I agree, Jake. Comparison videos get a lot of views, and they are valuable in themselves, at least for my goal is always to try and, I don't want to tell people what to buy. Their use might not be the same as my use, and so what I think is best might not be the best for them. But I do want to at least give the most amount of education as I can in a comparison video to let people know, what the strengths and weaknesses of each one are, and then they can make a decision based on that. So, yeah. So if you get an ND16, that would be a fixed ND filter. But if you can afford, it's like $99 for the Freewell variable ND. I would go with that if you can. Yeah. You would think it really messed the low temp performance and via Mavic 2 post. At my location, although you get my one-man show point of view. Wait, what are you referring to? Are you referring to the Skydio or the Mavic 2? I will say, Lon, if it's very cold outside and I need to do drone work, one of the reasons I haven't sold my Mavic 2 is I've flown that thing as low as 40 below zero, and it has worked every time. So, the Skydio. Yeah, they were very curious to see my flight logs, especially when I've flown at much colder temperatures than they recommended, inside that glacier ice cave and stuff like that. So they've been very responsive about the feedback I've given them. And so, and some of my concerns with what I'm going to be filming this summer, a lot of that takes place over vast stretches of water, And there's some confusion about whether the Skydio can fly over water or not. It can. You shouldn't fly it low over water. What they told me was keep the height to floor enabled so that it stays kind of a minimum distance above the water. So we'll see how that goes. One thing's for sure. If it goes down in the water, that's it. It's not coming back. Because the water, like the one lake I kayak across quite often is 600 feet deep. Yeah, it's a goner if it goes down. So, yeah. So, Jake, I will link that variable ND in the description here in just a few minutes. And we'll go from there. And then, yeah, hopefully that's everything. Let's see. Julio, the email above, which is jakesloantube@gmail.com, should work. And if you send me an email, I'll shoot you an email back. Lon, I do have the smart controller. I will say, I noticed I definitely get better range with the smart controller when I have my phone's Wi-Fi off. It worked much better. Still limited range-wise, but it did work much better. And then I've spent a lot of time kind of figuring out my settings for the smart controller. And once I kind of got those dialed in, I've been much more happy with it. It's still not as good as the DJI OcuSync system or their controller. DJI just really has good technology in that regard, but it's good and it's usable, and I could use it for commercial work if I needed to. Yeah, I have actually a few times. But for filming YouTube stuff, the Skydio is going to be most of what I use. And I saw a video somewhere where they were flying a Skydio while pouring water on it with a hose, like spraying water like a heavy, heavy rainstorm, and it was flying just fine. So I'm very curious about that because that would be a really nice thing to know. Jake, the next live stream should be next week, same time, same place here. Yeah, I've been trying to do it Wednesdays at the same time every week. So. Julio sent me an email. Excellent. Really? Yeah, Lon. And I'm trying to figure out where I saw it because I remember seeing it and then I got to go back and I got to find it again. But I was shocked because it was them. It wasn't like some YouTuber or somebody, trying to see if they could make it crash. But anyway, it's either that or I had an incredibly vivid dream. But I'm positive I saw it. I just have to find it again. It shocked me when I saw it. I was like, whoa. So anyway, that's going to wrap up the stream for me because I actually have a job I've got to run to next. But I really appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight, and the questions that you all had were great questions. I love interacting with you all and chatting. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for being part of the channel. It's a lot of fun. I hope you really enjoy the content that I'm going to get to produce this summer, out and about especially. Yeah, so Julio, Helena, there you go. I generally don't do shout outs, but there you go. So for those of you that are on Ken's stream tomorrow night, I will see you all tomorrow night. Have a good one. Thanks again. And until next time, I'll see you again soon on the next video. And cheers, everybody.